We're going to tackle a huge question today. It's one that every successful business has to face. How do you go from a great idea to a massive company without the whole thing just collapsing into chaos? Well, it turns out there's a blueprint for that, and we're about to walk through it step by step. So picture this. You've got this fantastic product. Sales are climbing, everything feels amazing. But then this little question starts to creep into the back of your mind. How do you actually scale this? How do you add more products, more people, more everything without it all just turning into a complete mess? To figure this out, let's meet our hero for today, Neha. She runs a factory that makes shoes, and business is booming. Seriously, she has a loyal following, a solid reputation. Things are good. But Neha, she doesn't just want to sell shoes. She has this huge vision, to branch out into leather bags and Western formal wear, becoming a complete one-stop shop for corporate women. The thing is, adding new products isn't just a matter of making them. It introduces a whole new world of complexity. This is exactly where Neha needs a blueprint. A really clear, structured plan to manage all this new complexity and turn that big vision into an organized reality. And that blueprint? It's a core management function called organizing. So, what is organizing? Simply put, it's the process of turning your big plans into actual action. It's all about defining who does what stuff they need to do it, and how everyone's individual work syncs up to hit the company's goals. For Neha, this is that light bulb moment that changes absolutely everything. And this blueprint, it has 4 key steps. First, you identify and divide all the work into small, manageable jobs so you don't have people tripping over each other. Second, you group similar jobs into departments. This is how you build real expertise. Third, you put the right people in the right roles. And finally, you set up a clear hierarchy so everyone knows exactly who their boss is. It's all about creating clarity out of that potential chaos. Okay, so Neha has her 4 steps down, but now she's facing a really crucial decision. As her company gets bigger and more complex, what kind of organizational structure is actually the right fit for her ambitious new vision? She basically has 2 main paths she can go down. There's the functional structure, which groups jobs by, their function, like marketing or production. And then there's the divisional structure, which groups jobs around specific products. Now, this table really lays out the choice Neha has to make. The functional model, it's economical, right? Because you don't have to duplicate departments. But it's really hard to pinpoint who's responsible for a single product's success or failure. The divisional model, on the other hand, is a bit more costly because each division, shoes, bags, apparel, might need its own marketing team. But, and this is so important, it makes it super easy to see which division is making money and to hold that division's leader accountable. Let's look at the functional structure first. You can just imagine a classic org chart with departments like HR, marketing, and R&D. This was absolutely perfect for Neha's original shoe business because it's super efficient and helps you build deep expertise in one area. But trying to manage 3 totally different product lines this way? Yeah, that could get messy fast. And so, here's the solution, a divisional structure. Now look at this. We have totally separate divisions for each product line. For Neha, that's shoes, bags, and formal wear. Each one pretty much acts like its own little mini company with its own dedicated teams. This is the exact kind of clarity and focus that Neha needs to manage her new diversified brand. So Neha's got her structure figured out. But to really, truly lead her growing company, she has to master one of the hardest skills for any founder, the power of letting go. This brings us to 2 really important concepts, delegation and decentralization. Now, delegation sounds simple, right? A manager just assigns a task and the authority to do it to someone on their team. But in practice, it's the art of letting go. It's about stopping that need to do every single thing yourself and starting to truly empower your people. Before she figured this out, Neha was a classic bottleneck. Buried in paperwork, making every tiny decision herself, and she had absolutely no time to focus on the big picture, like, planning her company's future. But once she learns to delegate effectively, everything changes. Her team leaders are now empowered to handle the day-to-day operations for their divisions. And Neha, she's finally free to think, to strategize, and to steer the entire ship. But here's the absolute key to making delegation work. It isn't just dumping a task on someone. It's a balanced system, kind of like a 3-legged stool. You grant the authority to do the task. The employee accepts the responsibility to do it well. But, and listen to this, the manager is still ultimately accountable for the outcome. If any one of those three legs is missing, the whole thing just tips over. Now, when you take that principle of delegation and you apply it across the entire organization as a core philosophy, that's when you get decentralization. It's all about pushing that decision-making power as far down the chain of command as you possibly can, creating a culture of ownership and autonomy. I just love this quote from the management theorist Henry Fayol. It perfectly captures the spirit of decentralization. It's not just about being more efficient. It's about making every single person's role more important and more meaningful. And hey, this isn't just some textbook theory. Look at Wipro. They completely restructured into a decentralized system to empower their business leaders and became a global giant. Or Johnson & Johnson, which basically operates like 190 different small companies. This is what allows them to be so incredibly agile. Neha is following a path that was blazed by titans of industry. Okay, you've seen the blueprint. You've seen how Neha can structure her company for massive success. So now it's time for a little challenge to see if you can apply these principles yourself. All right, here's the scenario. A production manager tells his foreman, I need you to produce 200 units a day. Simple enough. But he doesn't give the foreman the authority to actually go get the tools and materials he needs from the stores department. The foreman, of course, fails to meet the target. So who's at fault here? Let's just break this down using that framework we talked about. Was responsibility given? Oh yeah, absolutely, 200 units. Was authority given? Nope. The foreman couldn't get the basic resources he needed to do his job. The whole equation is completely unbalanced. So the verdict is crystal clear. The manager is to blame. And here's the fundamental principle this whole story illustrates. You cannot hold someone accountable for a responsibility if you haven't given them the authority to carry it out. It is a recipe for failure every single time. And that brings us right to our final thought. Whether you're running a company like Neha, leading a small team, or maybe just managing your own life and projects, these principles are exactly the same. So I'll leave you with this question. What is the one task you're holding on to so tightly that if you just delegated it effectively would unlock the next level of your own growth?